Do we need yet another video chat app in Google Duo? And can Optus bounce back from its EPL own goal? Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel. Welcome to Vertical Hold, the tech show where we channel surf through the headlines in search of the big picture. I'm Adam Turner, and this week my partner in crime, Alex Kidman, has a well-deserved roster day off. As a result, we have two special guests, APN News editor Patrick Avenell and Ausdroid editor Dan Tyson. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hi Adam, hi Daniel.
Hi Patrick, hi Adam, how are you going?
Good. Alright, so what's new in tech? Android Pay is making inroads in Australia, adding 6 more financial institutions, mostly minor credit unions and industry-focused banks. Of the big 4 banks, the ANZ is in, Westpac is still a maybe, but the Commonwealth and the NAB are still holding out. Telstra is playing hardball in the streaming space, offering 3 months free access to Stan, Netflix and Presto for new and recontracting mobile customers as of next week. On top of this, Apple Music is now unmetered and customers get 6 months of free access. The telco is also launching the Telstra TV Plus app, which offers universal search across all 3 streaming platforms. Intel is throwing its hat into the virtual reality ring, revealing details of its new Project Alloy headset. Like Microsoft's HoloLens augmented reality headset, Intel's VR headset features depth sensing cameras which measure the space around you. They'll also detect your hands so you can use them in a virtual environment. More than a week after the census fail fiasco, only half of Australian households have submitted the survey according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, but it won't reveal how many forms have been completed online. Field officers are now working their way across the country to visit households and collect paper surveys, with the ABS still prepared to fine Australians who don't complete the census. Alright guys, so it really seems that Telstra wants to be the streaming telco of choice, but does it matter? Dan, how do you choose your telco?
Basically, I'm on a really old grandfathered plan from Optus, which gives me unlimited data. That's basically where I'll stay and hang my hat until the end of time.
What about you, Pat?
Well, I am a sucker for the English Premier League, as we'll get to shortly, so I am with Optus. I have Optus across my iPhone and my iPad, and you do get free data for the Premier League on that. But you don't get free data for any of the streaming services that Telstra is operating with. And I think that's quite an attractive offer, because the 2 pain points that people feel with streaming services are the monthly hit on their bank balance and the worry about how much data they're using and incurring excess costs. And this seems to sate both those problems, at least in the short term.
Yeah. See, I must be old school because I still choose my carrier on stupid things like network coverage, which is why I'm still with Telstra. As much as I hate giving them my money every month, they have the best coverage across the country, so I've kind of stuck with them. And I would never watch streaming services on mobile, probably because I'm with Telstra and it's so damn expensive. But I guess you're right that now these days, as people are taking a streaming first approach to their entertainment, it is a much higher priority, I guess, when deciding who to be with the telco. So you think, did you defect from another telco to Optus so you could use the EPL?
No, but I did expand my deal to incorporate an iPad SIM.
Yeah.
So I have 28 gigabytes across iPhone and iPad per month to burn through. And that doesn't even include the EPL. I'm just burning through that watching Netflix or the Olympics on the Channel 7 app.
Well, that's the thing. Telstra actually was given away access to Seven's premium Olympics service. Optus has got the EPL, but it seems that Telstra is really determined to be the streaming telco of choice, which you would think, with the impact it can have on your network, that perhaps you'd be wanting to get rid of those people.
Well, maybe they've run the numbers and they find that people don't actually use the streaming as much as they sort of think they will when they sign up for these products. I mean, Netflix, it is enjoyable to watch Netflix at the gym or on the bus, but surely most people are just watching it at home.
Dan, where do you watch Netflix?
Everywhere. I actually do watch it basically at work on a break, or I'll watch it at the gym and stuff like that. So I'm pretty much in the boat, but that comes down to how much data I've got to basically provide to it. So if I was a bit more cautious with my data usage, I certainly wouldn't be doing it everywhere. In fact, I probably wouldn't use it on the mobile. It'd basically be at home. So that's basically a fairly common standpoint from most people that I know of. I mean, a lot of people I know do things like stream the NRL and the AFL, which are free through Telstra, so they don't count towards their data cap. But as soon as if they decided to count that towards their data cap, they certainly wouldn't be doing it. So, yeah, I think that's still a long way before we see people streaming video everywhere.
I've been doing the data dance the last month since I upgraded to 28 gigabytes, and I've been a bit more liberal, but I'm still trying to work out exactly how much Netflix chews up of mobile data. So I do that thing where you watch it for an hour and then you update your Optus app just to see how much it's ticked over.
That's where Netflix's adaptive streaming is really dangerous, because the more bandwidth you throw at Netflix, the more it chews through. So it's very hard to know what it's going to use over a particular show. So Google has decided that we needed one more video chat app in the world. Dan, you and I got a bit of a sneak preview at it. What do you think?
Well, it's great. It's very good with low bandwidth and things like that. Like, I mean, I've been able to connect to things while I've been using my phone as a hotspot and downloading stuff and doing all that sort of stuff, as well as taking a video call, and it's been pretty decent quality. The fact that there's a few things missing, like it's only 1-to-1, so you can't do a group video or anything like that, probably something we can add down the track. But yeah, it's something that's sort of basic in what it does, because it's a very basic app, but it sort of adds that extra element that things like Hangouts, which is their other video service, which requires a Google Gmail account to use, whereas this just uses your mobile number. So there's sort of that freedom there to sort of add it to anything, and the fact it's cross-platform between Apple and Android also adds that extra feature that a lot of other people haven't had in their apps. Yeah, but I mean, there has been people. I mean, you've got Facebook Messenger, obviously, which does things like video chat. It also does just connect based on your phone number. So, bit of competition in the space. There's quite a few people really vying for your attention when it comes to video chat. So it comes down to, is this something we need as a new service, or should we be just improving their old Google Hangouts?
I think the real appeal is that it aims to be one button simple. You launch the app and there's this big fat button that says video call, and you press that, and then you press one more button to choose from someone from your address book, and that's it. And so there's two schools of camp. There's people saying, oh, this is terrible because it doesn't do all this other stuff. And there's people perhaps more like me going, this might be the video app that people have been looking for. My parents have got Android handsets, and I'm probably going to put this on there. So when they're on holidays or we're on holidays, they can have a video chat with my kids, and I don't have to do a tech support call first to set it up. My mother-in-law's on an iPhone. She's a little bit more tech savvy, but the same, I might put it on her phone. So when we want to have video chat, it's just, open that app and push that button. I think that some tech savvy people sometimes underestimate how much important that is to everybody else.
Definitely.
Pat, it's not in the App Store yet, unfortunately. It was supposed to launch on Tuesday. Google assures me that it is still coming. So, Pat, I know you probably haven't had a chance to play with it, but what's your sort of video chat platform of preference, and do you think we need another one?
Well, I just got some flashbacks then when you're talking about your family situation, Adam, because the amount of messaging and calling apps I've installed on my mum's phone over the last few years, it's just, there are just too many of them. And I like the look of Google Duo. I haven't played with it personally because it's not on, I can't get it on the iPhone yet. I like the plan, I like its idea. I think it would have been an absolutely brilliant product to roll out in 2012.
Yeah.
And if they could have got ahead of some of their rivals, I think it could have been the dominant player. But I think everyone is very fatigued by it, and it's almost like what is the USP that it's offering? Simplicity. I think that is a good USP, but I think a better USP is that it's already on your phone in the case of something like FaceTime, or in the case of the Facebook call chat.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to drag people away from FaceTime. If you've got an iPhone and your partner's got an iPhone, or your parents have got an iPhone, and you've got in the habit of just using FaceTime, that's even easier than this. But I think it's maybe trying to be like the cross-platform equivalent of FaceTime.
I also do people have lots of video calls? I never do video calls with people. Is it am I missing out on something?
No, I don't think you are. I don't know, Dan, you might agree with me. Video calls are generally for calling your kids when you're away on work.
I was about to say that's exactly right. No, Adam, you've nailed it. That's essentially the only time I actually use video chat. I've occasionally done one when, say, one of my brothers or sisters has had a new child or something.
Yeah.
But that, again, is just so rare that it's just not one of those everyday use cases. I think we're still all embarrassed about sort of walking along talking on the phone as a video chat rather. I mean, we all see it as a society as a bit rude when you're talking on the phone, so adding that extra dimension of video, maybe a bit too much.
Yeah. I think if you want to, my brother lives in Hong Kong, so we use Skype to talk to him and his girlfriend sometimes, and we'll talk for half an hour at a time as a family, but I set it up on my MacBook and he sets it up on his notebook, I guess, sitting on his coffee table. So it's a group to group sort of situation at home. I wouldn't chat to him for half an hour holding my phone up to my face. Do you think that? And Google Geo is only a mobile service; it doesn't work with desktops as well. So they may be missing the opportunity there.
Yeah, there's a few features that they can sort of move on, but I think as you said, they've launched as a really basic service to get the people on board. So it's 2 taps to make a call. Once you go adding a few more features, that once people are used to that, yeah, they got some more room to move. So yeah, get yourself a sort of desktop client, add in maybe group chat and stuff like that. We'll see.
It would drive me nuts not having a desktop client. I think that the big selling point for the instant messaging apps was when they went cross-platform and went brand agnostic. So you can pivot from handset to web app to desktop app. That was where I think something like WhatsApp let itself down.
Yeah, and I think that's one place where Facebook Messenger's really picked up a lot of traction because a lot of people use Facebook. I mean, that's obvious. But they've got that sort of cross-platform availability on literally everything.
All right, so Patrick, the EPL's back. Your favourite team, Arsenal, played the other night. How did you watch it and how did it go?
Well, Adam, after running 14 kilometres in just over an hour and then going to the Beach Road Hotel to drink my weight in alcohol and then eating a horrendous amount of junk food, I got home just before 1 a.m. and I had to watch the game on my iPad. And it was the first time I'd watched Arsenal over Optus, and I have to say it was a pretty suboptimal experience. It wasn't the sort of the joyous 2 hours of my week that it normally is. Normally the game is my favourite 2 hours of the week, and this was a real disappointment.
So what were the problems?
Well, the first thing is that it's not what you'd call a lean-back experience. So I'm used to getting home, turning on the TV, and just watching the game without having to worry about things like whether you're on delay, whether you're buffering, whether it's going to drop out. So there's that worry, the anxiety about it, even if it's not happening. And then when it actually does happen, it really does drive you nuts. Because, soccer is a game where it's defined by instances. Out of 90 minutes, there might be 4 moments that matter. Sometimes there are games where there are no moments that matter. In this game, Arsenal-Liverpool, there were 7 moments that mattered, the 7 goals. And so when you're getting an alert on your phone telling you that the first goal has been scored, and then it's still a minute before it actually goes in the net on your iPad, that is a problem.
That is not so good. I watched the first half of the Manchester United game, which was on earlier in the evening. That was on at 10:30. And at the time, a lot of people were complaining on social media that they couldn't get into the service. Most of those people were using the Optus apps because the alternative is to watch it via Fetch TV. If you've got a Fetch TV Mini or a Mighty Box, you can stream it that way. And I was watching it that way, and it was perfect. The only problem I had, which everyone had, was the feed actually dropped out for about 30 seconds, but that was a problem with the broadcaster in the UK. It wasn't Optus's fault. But the interesting thing was the next day that Optus was trying to kind of imply that all of the problems that everybody had were due to that one fault, which is clearly not the case all weekend. Even on Saturday afternoon when the game was simulcast on SBS, people still had trouble getting in before there was even a heavy load. So, Dan, are you an EPL man or a sports ball man of any description?
Oh, I certainly enjoy the NRL, but no, I'm not really a massive football fan. I sort of watch it when the World Cup's on, and that's sort of the extent of my sort of soccer or football experience.
Have you tried watching the NRL on the streaming service? Is that Telstra, I think?
I've watched the NRL on Foxtel Go.
Yep.
So often for the Monday night football game, I'll have that game on my iPad, either at the gym or if I'm watching something else on terrestrial TV. And again, you have a similar problem in that you are on delay, but it's not as big a deal because rugby league is not a game rugby league is a game made up of many moments rather than singular moments. And so that's not as big a problem. Foxtel Go is also a more mature product, so it's ironed out a lot of the kinks.
A lot of people. Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say that one of the things that troubles me as a big football fan in Australia is that hearing Daniel talk about how he's interested in the World Cup, he's a bit of if there's a particular game or if there's some hype, he might tune in. Well, because of Optus locking it down, that's actually sort of being denied to him now. There are a lot of people out there who love their AFL or their NRL and they had Fox Sports for that reason, and they might turn on an EPL game because they know there's a narrative that it's fulfilling. And now that's being taken away, which I think is going to really limit the sport's growth in Australia.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean,
the complaints that people had about it being on delay, that's also the nature of streaming. You're never going to have anything that's on less than about a 30-second delay. And it's not that there's something wrong with the stream. It's just the nature of by the time you transcode it and mess around and ship it from there to here, that's how long it takes.
I know, and it really does ruin the social media experience because whether it's a scripted TV show or it's live sport, that interaction you're having on Twitter and Facebook is now like an absorbed part of the viewing experience. And my club, Arsenal, has a particularly vibrant and honest and strident opinion base in its fans. And I enjoy getting their reaction just as much as the professional commentators. And I had to turn off my Twitter while watching the game, which was a real disappointment for me.
I've used the dedicated NRL app, and some of the guys at work use the dedicated AFL app, and it seems to be quite good. But as Patrick said, it's not as big a social experience with NRL or AFL because there's just so many things that happen. I mean, you talk about an AFL game, they can get over 100 points in a game, so there's lots of those sort of things. But the fact that they are actually having streaming problems, the delay is something they need to work out. I guess that's up to Optus to sort of work through, and there's just teething problems at the moment, and we'll see how it goes.
I didn't want to be relentlessly negative, Adam, so I did want to say that I plugged in on Tuesday afternoon to watch some of the packaged programs that Optus are putting on the app, and I watched the Goal Review Show, which I thought was really well presented, and that's on demand, which it wasn't when it was on Fox Sports. You had to watch it when it was shown or IQ it.
Yeah.
And it's free. It's free on your data, so it doesn't count towards your data costs. And that was really well presented, I thought. And if you pause it halfway, it knows where you left it off, so you don't have to restart it. So I did want to give it some credit that some of the prepackaged programming is pretty good.
Yeah. So some of their ideas are right. It's just getting the actual delivery. Like at the time, there were people who couldn't sign in, or the app kept crashing. So it's just that. Getting the underpinning platform right, but the bigger picture of what they're trying to do, you think is not so bad.
Look, to be honest, I think what they're doing should be a complementary service. It should be an extra service that you can buy in addition to watching it on Fox Sports or on a TV network. That is a mobile solution for when you're on the road, you're interstate travelling, or if you can't get to a TV because you're working late or for some reason, or you're commuting. It's not a primary viewing experience at this point in technology. It might be in 5 years' time that it's a perfect analogue of TV, but at the moment, it's just not good enough. And I think that, I don't know whether Optus can improve it in the short term to make it better, or whether it's just going to lead to, fan meltdown each week.
Yeah, I think to what Telstra did with their offering of the Telstra, like the AFL and the NRL as apps that you could then download on any platform, pay a fee to watch it. On Telstra it's free, but on any other platform you pay for it. That's probably a much better option. I mean, Optus, it does seem to be trying to transition over to sort of a more of a media company rather than just a mobile company, and they're probably just not quite at that point where they can do it properly at this stage. So early days, that's one of those things. Yeah,
I think that it would have been great if Optus and Fox Sports had gone in together and shared the cost of buying the rights, and then came up with a great package together that sort of encouraged people to get Foxtel and encouraged people to get Optus. And if you had both, you had the best of both worlds. But if you could only afford one, if you only wanted one, you could choose which was best for your needs. What Optus has done, though, I think is very, very bad for goodwill.
That just about wraps it up for another episode of Vertical Hold. Remember, if you've got any comments, hit us up in the comments section on YouTube, via Twitter, or the Facebook Vertical Hold page. Thanks to Pat and Dan for joining us on the show.
No worries at all. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Adam. Go Arsenal against Leicester.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel.